precisely 6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Danushka Madhavala and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. Today marks Navam Full Moon Poya Day. Minister Basil Rajapaksa to visit India to formalize economic relief package. Governor of the Central Bank explains that limits have not been imposed on importing essential goods. PUCSL says no more scheduled power cuts. Car production falls to lowest level for 65 years. Petrol and diesel prices in UK reached new record high. US President says Russian attack is still possible. Novak Djokovic willing to miss tournaments over vaccine. We move on to local news in detail now. Today marks the Navam Full Moon Poya Day. Buddhists across the country and over the world celebrate many significant events of the Buddhist calendar that take place on this day. Navam Full Moon Poya has special significance for the Buddhists in Sri Lanka and in the world. The appointment of the two chief disciples of Gautama Buddha as Agra Sharvaka, namely Sariputta and Moggallana, took place on a Navam Full Moon Poya Day. Also, it is on a Navam Full Moon Poya Day that the Buddha proclaimed for the first time a code of fundamental ethical precepts for the monks. It is also on a Navam Full Moon Poya Day that the Lord Buddha announced that his Parinibbana would take place within 3 months. Many religious programs have been organized at temples and Buddhist centers in the island to mark the Poya Day. SLBC National Service broadcasts its monthly Poya program from the Mutiyangana Rajamahavihara in Badulla. Commercial service, upcountry service and Ruhuna service have also aired Buddhist programs today. Will be airing Buddhist programs today. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa is to travel to India again as the relationship between both countries strengthens. Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Piri said that Rajapaksa, who was in India in December, will travel to New Delhi again in 2 weeks. Piri said that during the upcoming visit, Rajapaksa will sign a $1 billion financial assistance deal with India. The foreign minister said that the relationship between India and Sri Lanka has been strengthened in recent times. He noted that India has always come forward to help Sri Lanka at crucial times. Governor of the Central Bank, Ajit Nivadkar says that except for vehicles and gold, other goods have not been banned or controlled from importing. He said that anyone can import essential goods without any issues. He mentioned this while explaining the decision taken by the licensed banks to bear a part of import bills. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news. We continue with more stories here at home. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka says that there will not be scheduled power cuts in future. According to the PUCSL, a methodology has been devised to ensure that there are no scheduled power cuts. Chairman of the Public Utilities Commission, Janaka Ratnayaka, said that they expect there to be sufficient fuel to operate the power generators for the next 3 months. He also said that if there is no major breakdown, then electricity can be supplied uninterruptedly. Earlier, the PUCSL has announced that there will be scheduled power cuts. However, Ratnayaka said that following a review of the situation, it has now been decided that scheduled power cuts will not be approved. According to the Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry, 1,252 new COVID-19 infections were reported yesterday. According to the Epidemiology Unit report, a total of 630,599 COVID-19 cases have been reported since the beginning of the pandemic. While 19,076 infected patients are currently under medical care at hospitals and homes, 595,649 patients have fully recovered and been discharged from hospitals. Sri Lanka on Tuesday reported 30 deaths, raising the total to 15,874. According to the Epidemiology Unit report, so far a total of 16,820,188 people have received the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine and 14,040,972 have received the second dose. In addition, 6,175,281 have received the third booster dose. That's it on local news for the moment.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhaloka Vedamahatmya.
The Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to the government to provide a wheat flour subsidy for estate worker families. The approval of the Cabinet of Ministers has been granted to the Cabinet memorandum submitted by the Minister of Finance Basil Rajapaksa under the caption Implementation of Proposals to Minimize Economic Constraints Confronted by Public at the Cabinet meeting held on the 18th of January 2022. As per the recommendations, the Cabinet Ministers approved the resolution submitted by the Minister of Trade for providing 15 kilograms of flour for 115,867 beneficiary families on a monthly basis.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And on Watchlight, police said officers in charge of police stations across the country have been instructed to conduct raids on parties organised at hotels and other places with drugs. Police spokesman SSP Nihal Thaldua said that police intelligence officers in respective areas have been notified to find places where such illegal parties are being organised and inform the OICs in those areas. That's on Watchlight. Moving on to world news headlines. US President says a Russian attack is still possible. Police arrest Honduran ex-leader Juan Orlando Hernandez on drugs charges. Lawsuit alleges Baldwin's recklessly shot Hutchins in Rust film shooting. Moving on to world news in detail now. A Russian attack on Ukraine remains very much a possibility, but the human cost would be immense, US President Joe Biden has said. In remarks televised nationally, he said the US was ready to respond decisively to such a move. The US President said Russia had now massed some 150,000 troops on the border with Ukraine. Russia's defense minister has said some forces have withdrawn. Mr. Biden said that this had not been verified. Mr. Biden's speech came hours after Russian President Vladimir Putin said Moscow's security concerns could be addressed and taken seriously. Mr. Putin has always denied he is planning an incursion and said Russia did not want another war in Europe. However, tensions have been rising since November. Honduran ex-president Juan Orlando Hernandez has been arrested on drugs charges. Police were deployed to his house in the capital Tegucigalpa hours after the U.S. requested his extradition to prevent him leaving. They moved in when an arrest warrant was issued. He surrendered and was escorted from his home in handcuffs. Mr. Hernandez governed Honduras from 2014 to January this year. He denies the charges against him. He is accused of having been involved in a drug trafficking ring, which included his younger brother, Tony Hernandez, who last year was sentenced in the U.S. to life in prison. Finally, on world news, Alec Baldwin recklessly shot and killed cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on the set of Rust last year. A lawsuit from her family has alleged Miss Hutchins, who's 42, died last year during a scene rehearsal after a gun held by Baldwin discharged a live round. Baldwin is one of several defendants named in the wrongful death lawsuit. Lawyers for the Hutchins family said she would still be alive if crew members had not cut corners. Tuesday's lawsuit was filed in the First Judicial District Court of New Mexico on behalf of Ms. Hutchins' husband Matthew and son Andrews and seeks unspecified damages. At a news conference, lawyers for the Hutchins family also presented an animated reenactment of the shooting. That came to you on World News.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
And on development news, a program called Heta Davasa has been organized targeting the youth and the children facing various social issues in the Colombo district. The program, which aims to prevent them from getting involved in antisocial activities, is implemented on a concept of Western Province Senior DIG Deshabandhu Tennakon. Vision FM, educational channel of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, is assisting in the program.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928. Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
And in tennis stories, Novak Djokovic has said he would rather miss out on future tennis trophies than be forced to get a COVID vaccine. Speaking exclusively, he said missing competitions such as the French Open over his jab status was a price that I'm willing to pay. The 20-time Grand Slam winner was deported from Australia last month after the government cancelled his visa in a row over his vaccine status. Djokovic described the conditions while he was detained as very hard.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Car production in the UK last year fell to its lowest level since 1956, according to figures from the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. The SMMT said the figures were dismal, largely thanks to a global microchip shortage and disruption caused by the coronavirus pandemic. It said there was optimism for the future with the announcement of new investments worth nearly £5 billion sterling. But it warned high energy costs could be a challenge for car makers this year. Hopes that car production would recover in 2021 were firmly dashed. According to the SMMT's figures, just under 860,000 new cars left UK factories last year. That was even fewer than in 2020, when the first wave of COVID and the associated lockdowns forced several factories to close. Production last year was 6.7% lower than in 2020 and a full 34% below its pre-pandemic level.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Fuel prices have hit a new record high at the pump across the UK, tightening the squeeze on UK consumers. The motoring organisation, the AA, has said. Over the weekend, petrol reached 148.02 per litre, while diesel hit a new record high of 151.57 a litre last Thursday. Fuel previously hit a record in November before wholesale and retail prices fell back. On Monday, oil prices hit their highest level since 2014, reaching $95.56 a barrel. If the situation in Ukraine deteriorates, oil and gas supplies from Russia to Europe may be interrupted, pushing up wholesale prices further.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Showery condition is expected to reduce in northern, north central and eastern provinces in the next few days. Showers or thunder showers may occur at several places in southern province and in the Ratnapura district during the evening or night. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in western Sabaragamu and central provinces and in Gaul and Matra districts during the morning. That was the weather update. And before we conclude, we have the headlines once again for you. Today marks Navam Full Moon Poya Day. Minister Basil Rajapaksa to visit India to formalize economic relief package. Governor of the central bank explains that limits have not been imposed on importing essential goods. PUCSL says no more scheduled power cuts. Car production falls to lowest level for 65 years. Petrol and diesel prices in UK reach new record high. In news overseas, US President says Russian attack is still possible. Sports, Novak Djokovic willing to miss tournaments over vaccine. That concludes the first bulletin of the day.